Hey, awaken! Ready for some spiritual manna. Hello and welcome to the Good Info Cafe, where multiple intelligences meet each day. I'm JK. Today, as it is in heaven, on earth as it is in heaven. Vocal fry. Now I will list the things on my agenda. It's all over the place, but it's great to be here at the Good Info Cafe. So here's the menu for today at the Good Info Cafe. Let's see what I can get to and what I will say. Cool information about the whistle tone. Gonna sing a cappella on a song that came up the other day. Part of the lyrics of Love Your Enemies. Also George Webb. We had, he mentioned, I was the live commenting, live chatting, and he saw me, and so we had I don't know if that's called a conversation, I guess, since I was texting and he was responding, and other people, and everyone's awesome on George's channel. I mean, there's less than 10% of the dumb trolls who can't really think straight or who are trying to manipulate things, but 90% awesome, and I can break that up. But he talked about writing parody songs, so I'll address that, and also what my channel is. Then it's sad about the Cathedral Notre Dame, and I'll talk about that. And then the question of the day, metaphor is what happened to the cathedral in Notre Dame, in Paris, a metaphor for falling away of the true church. And I was there twice on my honeymoon, and then I brought my 3 kids there when they were younger. I'm going to grade the Paris firefighters, and then prioritize what happened. So, I think that's not it. I think that's it, not yet. So, I think I'm gonna go into the song. Oh yeah, but before I do, I have an idea to explain. So, welcome to the Good Info Cafe, where multiple intelligences meet each day. With music and fun for everyone. Big serious concepts and hope. Welcome to the Good Info Cafe. So, I was just writing that on. So, George asked about writing parody songs. There's an example of, my theme song. I just wrote that here on. So if you go back to the videos, you can see the progression of how I wrote it. And then I turn on the video so my nose is itching. But now I'm going to do it like that. I'll do it theatrically. I'll scratch. No, the idea is not to bring attention to it. So, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. Something's wrong with this eye. It's drooping or something. And it hasn't done that until my eye's been for a year. It's been weird. Anyway, so packing boxes, getting ready to move. Got my my birthmark. It's also, how do you see it? When you see it about like this, I think. Yeah. When you see on a map Old City Jerusalem, and isn't that cool the way this was given to my brother, and he's not a believer, and so he gave it to me. I thought that was a beautiful thing. So there's Jesus, right? Jesus is going to rule from Jerusalem. Salem. Salem is my new way of signing off. Salem. It means peace. Mostly, that's what it's mostly known. So, getting back to the writing that. So this channel is music, fun, big serious concepts, and hope. that's how I'm saying it right now. So I want to write part of the theme where I'll talk about where there's music and fun for everyone and big serious concepts and hope, that kind of thing. So I'm going to start writing that. I might do some off, but I'll probably do most of it on. The whistle tone, I was nailing it the other day. I'm not going to be able to do it here, but there's breathing in. That's breathing in. Breathing out is more of what is the next step for learning how to do a whistle tone. And I do it about 3% of what those big time guys do, but you get to see the progression. And same with this channel. You're in on the beginning and the progression, and I'm going to talk about that. Well, I'm going to bring it up now. So George was talking about my channel, and I should do a channel on how I write parody songs. So what I'm going to do is do a little mini talk about how I do it. I won a national contest, the Bill Bennett radio show that was on for, I don't know, for years, but he now moved on a couple years ago. But I got to meet Bill Bennett for breakfast as my prize for winning and I got something else for winning that contest. And it was when Hillary Clinton was talking about the gig economy, Uber and all these people to try to make ends meet. Like I give music lessons and soccer lessons and things like that. The gig economy, she was trying to get the clause in there and regulate it. And so I push back hard against them. I don't care who the person is. I'm just right of center, but it's what the person's trying to do. It's their action. So I wrote, oh Lady Hillary, hello Lady Hillary, or something like that as a parody song, and that won the contest. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And then, but in terms of where this channel fits in, and this came out of a conversation with Brent, is John McDuff is the past. This is the real big picture. You know, he does great with history in the past. And we all do, but he's more expert on that. Then George is right in the moment, current events, current corruption that's going on. Then there's mine, and then there's Brent's Think Tank 2.0. So this is going to be after things are much better, the restitution of all things. And mine is this channel. So yes, music, fun, big serious concepts, and hope. The hope part is this, is iFlap, is this thing is separate from me. You can hold me accountable to my accuracy, accountable to not being clear. That's what the plus and minuses are for. Is it relevant or not? Is it refined or not? And same with George's channel. Use this, the iFlap, the Information Literacy Action Processor. It's like the CPU, the Central Processing Unit. This could still be true 100 years from now, 200 years, when I'm gone, 1,000 years from now. These concepts will help solve all the problems that George is talking about. So that's where my channel fits in. Now, I did talk about if I do with George and McDuff, I can also have a dry erase board and capture what they're talking about. And because as a teacher in the information literacy, the clarity, to bring more clarity and accuracy and what's accessible, what's not accessible, to address all these concepts here, to help in those videos. So that's what I would do, you know, for those talk ones. Then when it's meeting at the Navy Memorial and all those things, we do music, and McDuff, great, you know, singer, bass. He's real deep down in the basement. And do all that stuff. But in terms of the big picture, McDuff, a lot of the good history, tying it into the current. George, very current and super bright. They're both super bright. And then mine is the hope, how to solve. And that's through action literacy. That's why it's Information Literacy Action Processor. And then Brent's Think Tank 2.0, that's what he's developing, and he can explain more about that, will be once things have restored at a level, and then the restitution of all things, what we do to bring things back into harmony with nature. I say God's nature, the way things are supposed to be, without the parasites and the leeches and the chaff, separating the wheat from the chaff. And I say separating the we from the riffraff. That's what this time is. And I've said that before. This time is getting the bad actors out from behind the rocks and out from and the parasites and the leeches and the control freaks. And that's what's going on. It's all coming out. And then who are the good guys? And so that's how I see the four things. McDuff with that history and reading from the books. George with current events about corruption and incredible with all the bad actors, who are the names, and then the ones that we're not sure of. And it's rare that George said he's a good guy. Somebody he's talking about is a full-on good guy, and that's hard. But understand, separating the wheat from the chaff. You're either on the good side or the bad side. You're either with Isho or not, with God or not. Even if you don't believe in God, just, you know what I'm talking about. Especially the believers do. So that's what I say this time is, and I talk about the end of an age, the end times. So the channel, music, fun, big serious concepts. So that's the end times, Book of Revelations, to honor Jenny, Task Force. And then hope is really what I can deliver. I've delivered all my life, hope. All my life I've delivered hope. So I can deliver that on my channel. And that's the hope of all those things that George talks about and McDuff with a solution. And the solution is already there. I say it in my song. But I don't know if I'll be able to find it. But I do say, yeah, stay awake, feel the resonance, ride the wave. All the answers already exist. You're not their slave. The God you are waiting for is waiting for you. Love the Spirit, holy. InfoWars survival. Feel the good energy. Unite the fight. So all the answers exist right now. I have a lot of information I can help with that. So that's kind of a new level of focus, is the hope part. So music, fun, big serious concepts, and hope. And that's where McDuff, the past, George, the present, me, the future solution, and then Brent, Think Tank 2.0, as how once we've destroyed the bad, how do we restore things in harmony with nature, with God's nature, and the restitution of all things. So that's a big picture. Love that. Oh, and then spiritual manna. That's the hope. And the idea is after you watch my videos, or when you watch part of my videos, that you feel better about the world, you're more hopeful when watching the videos. And I don't mean false feeling better. I mean hopeful, because so much when watching McDuff and George, it can be depressing. And that's why I came along last summer, or what I saw that I would add and on the Friday night and the weekends, kind of processing everything that George was saying, and then identifying the bad guys and then making fun of them. And so that'll bring me to how I write parody songs. And so I said, Bill Bennett radio show, he was the Secretary of Education under Reagan, and he had a blind date with Janis Joplin. So that was one of the things I asked about. He said, you're a musician, you can ask me about, because he was tired of people talking to him about that, because it was just a one blind date, Janis Joplin and him, under the stars, drinking beer. She fell asleep, but this is one that I haven't read about, but he told me. She fell asleep on his shoulder, very wholesome, and people try to make it into something much more, because people are dum-dums in so many ways. And I'm one of the dum-dums. I never tried to make that bad, but we all have freedom, right? That's where the First Amendment, you got to allow other people their freedom, because we are all freedom at some point. But there is a point where you're either on the good side or the bad side, and that's what's going on. That's the end of days, if we are. So I won that contest, and it was Old Lady Hillary, that Old Lady Hillary. My father, growing up, he's a singing psychiatrist, and some of you enjoyed his video from a few days ago when we honored Dolly, my friend, 90-year-old piano player who was awesome, passed away. And she had a well-lived, she had, the meaning of life is a meaningful life, and she had a meaningful life. And she was a believer and all that. My father sang what was I saying? Oh yeah, so growing up, he would sing la da da. When some line would come up, he would sing a line like how I do. But he also would write parody songs, even in college and all that. And he would show them to me. So that's in my background. The only thing different is the musician side, so I can write original songs. But if you're not a musician, you can still write lyrics and make fun of the bad guys and make and mock them. They deserve to be mocked. In those, for whom much is given, much is expected. So there are a lot of people in positions of power that got a lot of temporal power, not anything about godly power, but temporal power, and they misuse it, and they use it just for themselves or all about themselves. Ruling control freaks don't care a damn about you. So I changed it to care a damn instead of give a damn. They don't care a damn because of cremation of care that they do at Bohemian Grove. So that they can be part of the beast system, the world system. So you identify the bad actors, the bad guys, and then concepts around them, and then you write new lyrics. And so what I take the original lyrics, and one of the techniques of writing a parody song is you try to keep the original words in as much as possible. So you obviously have to change it, but you can get caught, especially if you're a songwriter, just writing a whole new thing and they don't recognize the old lyrics. You keep in at least 50%. I've never thought about the percentage, but I'd say probably at least 50% and possibly more, because you can just changing a few choice words and really get the point across. So anyway, then you start to sing the song. Well, anyway, that's what I was saying. So out there, and many of you made really good comments during the live chat with your songs. I just couldn't keep up. I was working full time, and now I'm back to working full time. In the next 2 weeks, I'm impacking and moving, but starting in May, it'll be more full time again. But I wish I could do it full time, the writing, because I could. All those you guys had great ideas. I just couldn't respond to them. So you identify the bad actor. But you know what? It was usually more the concept first, and this channel is all about concepts, because I'm not always going to get it right, but I understand the biblical concepts. And I want to be held to accuracy or being authentic, access, clarity, context, relevance, and refinement. Refinement is the final piece. What George was saying, the information literacy funnel, the refinement's near the end, but it moves around. You understand what I'm talking about. So, so you identify a concept, what bad actors are connected with it. Sometimes you're making fun of more than one. we did, what's her name? Lisa Page and her boyfriend, McCabe. Was McCabe her boyfriend? The adulterers and all that stuff, or the mistress, all that. And he's a mister, she's a mistress, so he's her mister. But anyway, or mistress. Maybe we'll go with mistress. If she is the mistress, if Lisa Page was the mistress for McCabe, wasn't it? Then McCabe is the mistress. Mistress. I liked it better than mistress. Mistress. Anyway, new word for the day. So with George, part of it was just going with it and coming up with concepts as you're going. So that's another thing. Don't just sit there and write. Actually do it. And if you can't sing, then find someone else who can sing. So if you're smart with words and that kind of thing, good with words, and you try to rhyme the original rhyme also. And if you can't rhyme with the original word and a word that you changed, then change both so the new one rhymes in general. So that's a short. And I'm going to tie it in with the parasites and the leeches with Notre Dame. Notre Dame. So very sad about that fire and the spire fire falling, and that all those things can be used as metaphors. So that is my question today. Is the fire on the spire and the falling a metaphor for the falling away of the true church? Christianity, I use that, but that's been, infiltrated and misused. So it is followers of Jesus. followers of Isho. Whatever Mary said when she was holding the baby, oh, Isho, Isho, whatever she said, I want to know what that word is. And right now, the leading theory is Isho. On here, we do theories, we do hypotheses, we speculate. George's speculations are awesome. He puts them out there, and any critically thinking follower of George knows when he's speculating. But anyway, I'm talking too much of my voice. I'm losing my voice. So I'm going to have this after I sing because I don't know how this will affect me. But this is my, now it is time for nutritious input. Super blue silver. It's it freshens your breath and for gargling, but it has nano silver and iodine in it. So nutrition, and you're helping your breath and all that stuff. Scratching is okay, yay. So I'll do this grade. Yeah, so QOD, the question of the day is what happened in Notre Dame, metaphor for falling away of the true church. I was there my honeymoon in 93, and beautiful, the Notre Dame. And then when I in 2011, brought my 3 kids, and a great story about my son. It was really funny with a happy ending, but we couldn't find him. He didn't want to go in the church, so he just left to go explore. He was 16 and feeling his oats, and then he was missing when he was supposed to meet. And so we told the police after a certain amount of time. My wife was really worried. I figured it would work out, and he found his way back to the 15 arrondissement, where the apartment was, and was sitting outside the door of the apartment. And because he's an awesome kid, he's super smart, and people don't know that. A lot of people who aren't smart don't know how smart he is. All right, so my fear with my takeaway for the fire and the damage is that the parasites, the ignorant, that's a phone call when I get off. A lot of things going on with me moving and my kids coming back, there's stuff. It was very sad. And is it a metaphor for what's happening to true believers, the true church? And my fear is the ignorant forces, the parasites, the leeches will be part of restoring it, and it's not going to have the spiritual beauty that it has. Incredible. I guess I can grade it right now. So the firefighters get an A plus. I heard there was a human circle to save some of the artifacts, the crown of thorns. Awesome. What's purported to be the crown of thorns are a part of it. Those forces who aren't creative, who aren't spiritual, who aren't connected to God and life and the universe, I'm afraid they're going to be here when they try to restore it, because it's a UNESCO heritage site, which the headquarters for UNESCO is right around the corner from there. I'm not around the corner, but it's in Paris, the headquarters for UNESCO, and that's a World Heritage Site. I'm afraid that it won't have the spiritual beauty that it had before, because it will be people who, this is my point, and I'm going to make it quick. So many people who don't use the right and left side of the brain, they don't use the creative side, and I forget which one is the creative. I think the right side is the creative side, I forget. The positive way is they support the arts, and they're awesome contributors, and they do things that help the artists be creative. And then there's ones who are jealous, and they destroy all those people, all those musicians who were destroyed because the non-creators and positions of power, they feed their parasites, their leeches. They ruin, like the way the world system has ruined Van Gogh and makes people go crazy. I pretty strongly use both sides of my brain, and that's multiple intelligences. So that's who I'm afraid, those type, the ones who are really jealous of that kind of architecture and jealous of the church and the incredible music from the heart, from the spiritual, and they end up destroying it whether they're conscious of it or not. So that's my biggest fear, is it's not going to be restored with the incredible spiritual nature that is reflected in the architecture, that won't happen. That's a fear. That's my biggest takeaway. All right. My voice is now a little out. Nay. The road is long, with many a winding turn that leads us to who knows where, who knows where. But I'm strong, strong enough to carry him. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. So I'm dedicating this to my older brother, my younger brother, George, John, John's father, McDuff, all the men out there on this channel. And incredible, this song, one of the most amazing pop songs that uses the word laden and encumber. Not too many pop songs have that kind of, my eyes kill me. And then I'll do one for women, a song, gosh, for someday that's more focused for the women. But just understand, this song comes out of a little girl was asked back in the 1800s. There's a story, I think somebody a clergyman saw this girl struggling, carrying her younger brother, who was almost as big as her, struggling to carry him. And he said, "Are you okay? Do you need some help?" She goes, "It's okay." She said, "He ain't heavy, he's my brother." So it was a little girl carrying her younger brother, and it was no problem to carry her. So on we go. His welfare is my concern. No burden is he to bear. We'll get there. For I know he would not encumber me. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. If I'm elated at all, I'm elated with sadness that everyone's heart isn't filled with the gladness of a love for one another. It's a long, long road from which there is no return while we're on our way to there. Why not share? And the Lord doesn't weigh me down at all. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. So on we go. For all the men out there, I'll do one for the women. And that's what I'm talking about with the hope in my channel. That I know how we can, all those terrible feelings that we get when George talks and John talks. I know the answer. I know how we can overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. I know a way, okay? And so that's where the hope is on this channel. What else? To prioritize what happens. So the building, in terms of the Notre Dame Cathedral, it's way up. If one, I go on this side when I prioritize. Number one is life survival. The survival of existence, the survival of life, actually, is number one priority. But in terms of buildings, it's a high priority. It's one of the most beautiful buildings in the world. But in terms of prioritizing the thing it's a thing, and so it's thousands of ways away from higher priorities. But what it represents, the falling away of the church. Now, it might turn off pretty soon, so I'm going to go fast. And I was going to talk about, in my song, love your enemies, even if you have to kill them. Where is God? What have they done to your creation? Oh, my Lord. I got to get this fast because it might turn off soon. I did clear my... what have they done? That's the dividing. So we know where God is, but sometimes we wonder, like, where's God to deal with all this stuff? Why does he allow evil? Well, that's so God knows that we come to him not as a machine, not as pre-programmed to come to him, but we come to him on our free will. And that's why he allows the devil to deceive us. But what have they done? I'm talking about all the bad actors, the Hitler, I can't think of them now, but all the liars, all the ones who caused all the problems that George talks about. Those are... All right, so I think that's it. I think that's it. Goodbye. I think that's it. Goodbye. Are we in the end? Oh, I didn't even do my...